Now we're going to take a look at how to move back and forth from arm locks to the back. Okay. When we're doing arm locks to the back, often we find ourselves in a side scissor situation. Typically, when you're talking about back takes, when we're in like full guard, we often talk about how to get to side scissor with an arm across the body, and that's kind of how we navigate our way to the back when we're in a full guard situation. But it often occurs that while you're going for an arm lock, you have an ability to move your opponent into side scissor so you can retake the back. This can be done because you're trying to not lose your training partner's arm, or this can also be done proactively because you see some exposure of your training partner's arm and you say, all right, this is a way I can move around my training partner's body to get to the back, and we'll discuss both. All right, so the first place I see side scissor playing a role is where my training partner's on his back. Okay? Whenever I go into various Udigitame transitions, we have to pay attention to like where our legs are in space. There will not be as many, or really any, back-taking opportunities when I'm in 3/4 Udigitame, all right, because my own leg will get in my way, okay? There's other great opportunities here for things like triangles, which we'll discuss later, okay? But as far as back take's concerned, not so much. So really we're looking at situations where we're in full Juji, and typically in a situation where I have this leg as a cross face instead of crossed legs, okay? And now what'll happen here is as my opponent's defending, as I'm kind of trying to extend into arm locks, my training partner will move a leg off of the head and I start to see my training partner sitting up, okay? Now if I'm not careful here, my training partner will sit up, face me, and square, and I'll end up in full guard, and the submission chain has been broken, okay? I no longer have my training partner in danger. What I'd prefer to happen, let's rotate with your head pointing towards them, I think. Probably best. What I would prefer to happen is have a situation where when he does this and he manages to clear that leg, I shift myself off to the side. Let's take a look at what that shift looks like again. Okay? My leg's in across my training partner's face. He's clearing it. Okay? If I lay my back flat on the floor and look up towards the ceiling, he'll square up with me every time. Okay? Go back. So, whether I have his arm extended or whether I just have an arm laced in, okay, as I'm falling back and I lose that cross face and I want to try transition to the back, I'll make a push off the mat with my foot, okay, a hip out, and I turn my chest facing towards my opponent's tricep, like so. From here, I'll grab his lat muscle, and as he tries to get up, I lock my legs over my opponent's back. Let's see what this looks like on the other side. Laying down. All right. Training partner's in this position. Okay. I'm controlling my training partner's arm. Maybe I'm extending it, and I feel that leg clear. From here, I hip out and shift so that I'm facing side on to the opponent. My leg climbs over the back. I lock like a guard, and I pinch my knees around the opponent. As he comes up to his knees, I come up to my elbow. As I come up to my elbow, I look to shift and start placing hooks in. Okay? If I want to further break my training partner down from here, we often use 3/4 Nelson transitions to get my training partner into that back system so we can get ready to submit. Let's look at this again. I'm going into submission opportunity on my training partner, and my training partner looks to try to turn in. Now, if you had this arm laced in on your leg, okay, and this hand posted on the floor, you're going to have to make a switch when you try to get to the back. As your training partner clears and comes up, if I don't make an effective switch, it's very likely my training partner squares up. Back. So if I have my hands in this configuration and I'm not extending, it's very important that as I feel that come off, I switch, I hip out, and I grab my training partner's lat muscle like so. From here, I lock up, go ahead, I prop up to my elbow, and I shift my hips out behind my training partner and lace my legs through. Okay, from this position, I'll often look to put a 3/4 Nelson in, roll my training partner to the mat to start attacking my training partner's back. Another situation where we can find ourselves in side scissor is when we're underneath our opponent. As we're underneath our opponent, we're going to go in a different style of arm lock called Udigitame, where my elbow covers my training partner's elbow and my leg covers my training partner's back. what we typically look to do is try to turn in on our training partner and extend my training partner away from me as I bring my head towards him and crunch the elbows in for the submission. Many times when we do this, our training partner will look to pass the arm through to try to defend said submission. When he does this, we quickly reach up over our training partner, we lock our legs inside scissor, and we start moving ourselves around our training partner. Okay, let's rotate. Once again, I find myself in an Udigitame variation, and my training partner, as I'm trying to finish, passes the arm across. When he does this, I'll grab his tricep, sit up, and then grab his lat muscle, locking my legs in the side scissor formation. From here, I start to hip up and climb behind my training partner like so. Okay, once I get here, turn my training partner with that 3/4 Nelson, and I'm ready to attack my training partner's back. One other way that we can do this from an Udigitame variation, instead of waiting for his defense, we can move into what's called a pinch headlock. As I go into this situation and I start trying to break with Udigitame, perhaps I'm not as confident in the submission as I could be, right? Or I've decided here's an opportunity for me to now grab my opponent by the head. As I grab my opponent by the head, it's much harder to pull and move out of this submission hold. It's no longer a submission hold as much as it is control. So I very quickly go from Udigitame to pinch headlock and then an extension where I pass my training partner's arm through. From here, I can either climb completely up because I've already bypassed or suck my opponent back. Okay, let's look at this last transition. I'll do it on the other side. I get into Udigitame variation and I'm climbing. For whatever reason, I decide, maybe I'm afraid his arm's gonna come out. So I switch to my pinch headlock. I extend and shrug my shoulder from this situation. Okay, a couple different things can occur. I can go into my side scissor and I can climb up just like we did last time, or many times, as I shrug, I can get into situations where I can just kick my leg up and pull my opponent down because I've already bypassed my opponent's arms. Okay? So in this way, out of arm locking situations, we can often find ourselves exposing our training partner's back.